Righto, Dom. Good afternoon. This, I hope, is a new series of interviews with people who have accomplished great things but are local. Basically, unsung heroes. Our first is one big hero. He's a young 103-year-old Don Shepherd. He is one of the very few D-Day veterans still alive. Good afternoon, Don.
Good afternoon.
It's an honour to have you with us today. Thank you for taking the time to share your story with us. Right, you're a remarkable man, Don, but could you start by telling us of your early life, i.e. before you joined the army?
My early life started, I was born in what we call now the village of Langdon, which is prior to the new town when it took over. And I had various jobs, what was it, master of...
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh.
Exactly, but anyway, I arrived at the age of 20, and at that time I was working in a hairdresser shop of all things. I couldn't get a job, and I walked in to get me haircut this day. The guy, I knew him very well, and he said, "No work, John?" I said, "No." He said, "How about coming with me?" I said, "What, hairdressing?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I need somebody, sweep up and stuff. The money won't be all that good." He said, "But you start." And to cut a long story short, I really took to it, and at the end of the day I could cut a decent haircut, and but then just after that I was 20 and called up for service in the army actually. I was a conscript, and I was sent to...
What year was that, Don?
Sorry?
What year?
This was 1940. 1940 I was 20, I was a conscript and called up to proceed to the barracks in Colchester Barracks to train as a Royal Engineer. And among other, about 20 of us, we all arrived at Colchester, 20-year-olds, all having a laugh and a joke at what was happening. But when we went through the gates, that was the last time. Because we had to start training. Anyway, to cut a story on short, I was trained for about 18 months to be a sapper, which was a Royal Engineer. We dealt with building bridges, and unexploded bombs. We had to bring the true, and it was a really tough training. And anyway, it finished, and at the beginning of 1943, and I was sent to join the company of Royal Engineers, the 107 Field Company, who had just returned from Dunkirk. And they lost quite a few in there, and there was about half a dozen of us joined to make up their number. And strangely enough, because we were conscript, these guys that came back were all regulars, and they didn't get on with us very well, not at that beginning, yeah. Anyway, we proceeded along the East Coast, because at that time the Germans were sort of knocking on our door. They'd got their landing craft almost ready to come over to Dover and stuff, and we mined all the south east coast all the way up with anti-personnel mines, and we moved then up to the Midlands. And finally we got a post in to go to North Africa, which we left from Liverpool in a and we finally arrived at Algiers in North Africa, where we joined the First Army, who, along with the Americans, was trying to push the Germans and the Italians out of North Africa altogether, which eventually happened. We didn't know anything about the next job. It was kept pretty secret, but we trained with some of the Navy for combined operations, and finished up. We done the landings. My company, along with a company of engineers that had just come up from El Alamein, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And we landed on the shores of Sicily, which was not very well guarded. There was a few Italians there. We didn't lose any. It was quite easy landing, really. But going through all this, after being announced as a sapper, when we landed in Algiers, the sergeant come up to me. He said, "Can you ride a motorbike, Shepherd?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, now's the chance." He said, "We need a dispatch rider." He said, "We'll be moving from Algiers right up through the mountains into towards the Italian coast." I said, "Yeah, okay." Anyway, I took over the job as, and from then on, that was my position all the way through as a sapper, as a dispatch rider. Anyway, after we landed at Sicily, Sergeant Major come up to me. He said, "You see the jeep over there?" He said, "There is the Lieutenant Colonel of the 51st Highland Division engineers." He said, "He wants somebody like you as a dispatch rider, because communication wasn't very good." Yet I arrived at the jeep, and he'd got an operator, radio operator in the back, and a driver. But because at that moment the Germans had almost infiltrated our communication, yeah, which had, and this old colonel, he was Lieutenant Colonel Sugden, I remember his name now, and he came over, shook hands with me actually, and I had to follow him about the 69 days that we were in taking over Sicily. I had to follow him about, and he would give me dispatches that I had to run back to headquarters and stuff like that, you know, very important stuff. And when the campaign finished in Sicily, I got called into one of the offices, and the officer came up to me and said, "Shepherd," he said, "you've done very well with us," he said, "but your company, your field company's asking for you back." He said, "I'm going to give you the option, you can stay with us or you can go back to your company." He said, "I've got to send your bike back, but," he said, "you can stay." And I'd made mates there, so I stayed with the 51st Highland Division, yeah. And that's where the campaign had finished in Sicily, and some of our artillery had gone across to the mainland to start anew in Italy. But we were due to come back to Britain, and along with all our company and some infantry, we boarded an American troop ship, took us back, where we arrived in Scotland, of all places, in 1943, coming up to Christmas time. And we didn't know it, but we'd been brought back really to train for D-Day, which was and we done quite a bit in Scotland, and then they moved us down to the London area, and we were billeted just outside Slough, near Slough, and they'd taken over, and that's where we done a lot of our training. Mostly it was waterproofing vehicles, you know, really, because this D-Day attempt was going to be the largest beach landings that had ever taken place. And we were working with the tides actually, and so you never went in clear, you always went in the water first and came out. And so we kept training and we moved down to London to I think I know of it now. It was
Tilbury?
no, it wasn't Tilbury, was it? It was where Amy lives.
Wanstead.
Pardon?
Wanstead.
Wanstead Flats. Wanstead Flat, you know Wanstead
Yeah.
Flats, yeah. And we were all bivouacked there in tents and stuff there, you know. And a little bit of the going away from that, I'd already remarried. I'd married for the first time. I met this young lady when we came back from the Far East, and she came home up on one Saturday and took all my clothes away here to wash to bring back the following Saturday. Well, what happened was, of all the silly things, they issued us with French money. How the hell they thought we was going to spend it, but anyway. But that clamped down on secrecy altogether. Nobody was allowed near us.
Yeah.
So I virtually went away on D-Day with what I stood up in. No clean clothes or nothing. Anyway, on the evening of the 5th, we moved down to London Docks, where we boarded what they called a American ship. It was one of these ships that they made up quickly. I don't know, I forgot what they called them anyway. And we all got, and funnily enough, the dockers down there, they wouldn't load our stuff on, so we had to do it ourselves. And then we joined a convoy down the Thames, picked up other units, Tilbury and stuff like that. And then we proceeded through down through the Straits of Dover, you know, which was quite near the French border.
Yeah.
And in the convoy, the boat behind us got a direct hit from artillery coming from German, from the German coast in France, you know, and it got a complete hit, and they must have been. The sea was very rough, and then we proceeded forward to a place they called Piccadilly Circus, of all things. It was a central place where you transferred from the boat to a landing craft, yeah? And guys coming from Portsmouth and all that used it as well. And we had about 10 miles to go to whatever beach we was assigned to. And I'd never in my army training ever gone down a rope ladder before. And we had to climb down this rope ladder with the boats going up and down like that to get onto this landing craft, you know. And we was getting rattled by a couple of German fighters that was coming over, firing at us, you know, and bullets were hitting her. I hid in a bloody rope locker before I got off. Sergeant was shouting, "Shepard, go on, get down." Anyway, away we went, and I tell you what, it was hell. the sea was rough and our boat was up and down, and we got into an area quite near the beach where we had our own battleships firing over the top of us, rocket ships, and then the Germans were returning and stuff. And the reason, because we had experience from shore landings in Sicily, we had to support the Canadians who was going to do the advanced attack on Juno Beach. Their engineers and infantry were the first ones to land on there, and we were to follow them in and back them up, you know. And I think it must have been about 1 o'clock when we eventually got ashore, and the idea was to get off the beach quick because the German artillery had got the measurement and they were really pounding it. There was loads of Canadian guys that hadn't been picked up, they were dead, all laying about. And luckily we got off without any casualties. But going back to the idea of the tides coming in, our landing craft couldn't quite reach the beach, and we was in quite a bit of water, you know. And the first vehicle off from our vehicles that we had on board was a staff car with a lieutenant in it and driver, and it disappeared down a bloody great shell hole, you know. The two of them got out, but I was the next one up. I was in what they called a scout car with I had a rain gun on the team, with a driver, just me and a driver, yeah. And he was a mad our driver. He hit the water like that, and we all I got soaked, you know, going. Anyway, we managed to get off the beach without any. And I was in a brigade, what they called a brigade in them days, and we advanced. The Canadians, who were advancing quite good, really, their objective was Caen, you know. They were there out to capture Caen. So we got up to behind the advanced Canadians, and I think it was a colonel or major, he went in front up to them, and they said, we're okay, we don't need your help. And so we got diverted then to go back to the coast, and our infantry was directed, Black Watch, to take out a radar station that was there, and they couldn't do it. It was well guarded, so we went on towards what became known as Pegasus Bridge.
Yeah.
The 6th Airborne had landed, and they captured the bridge, but they were getting well powered. There was only just infantry. They never had any big weapons or nothing, you know. So some of our men, our Black Watch got there with them and started to help them, and which turned out to be very bad actually, because our Black Watch, a platoon of our Black Watch advanced from Pegasus Bridge area, and hiding in the ditches was Germans, and the first platoon got wiped out completely. And on their left flank, there was a dozen of them got captured and stood up against the wall and shot. a dozen of them.
Yeah.
But one of them managed to feign death, he didn't. And looking forward going, after the war finished, the the guy that was running the troop that done this, he was still alive, and he got what was it called? When they had all the Inquisition after the
Nuremberg trials.
Nuremberg, yeah. And he was at Nuremberg for trial, and the guy that got away with it, he was still alive. He got through the war, and he gave evidence against this guy.
Yeah.
And he eventually got hung over it. But yeah, it was a tough time we had eventually. And as I say, we didn't break out of Normandy till August, and then made our way up towards Holland and stuff like that. You know.
And it was
Yeah,
loaded.
that's right.
It was
Yeah,
all wide for
that's where I
explosives.
got wounded there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you in the ditch.
Yeah, I've got a bit of shrapnel in my leg actually, but we was well equipped. We had morphine and stuff like that, bad as you could do it, which I did. I never thought I should have reported it really, but I didn't. And it gradually healed up, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you the sequence to it though, did I? The sequence was, how many years ago was it I had to go up for?
At 10, 15.
10 years ago they thought I'd got cancer, and I had to go up Basildon. I went through all the tests and stuff, and the day came when the family come up, and this sister, or I don't know what her rank was, but she sat there and said, "I've got some good news, I've got some bad news, Mr. Shepherd." She said, we didn't find anything cancerous, but what we did find was a tiny sliver of what we call shrapnel. They called it was metal, anyway, in your lung. And she said, "Have you ever had any problems with it?" I said, "No, not. I've had coughs and colds or whatever." But she said, "Well, it's there. It's not doing any harm." She said, "We won't try to operate on it." So that's what happened there.
So you still got it?
Sorry?
You still got it in
Well,
you?
as far as I know,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of chest. Nobody said anything. It may have disappeared. I don't know really.
So after Normandy, where did you go next?
Sorry?
After Normandy, where did you go next?
Normandy, we joined. We was going up the west coast of France, through Belgium, over Flanders fields again.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's a big port on the way up on the left hand side, which I can't think the name of.
Ostend?
Oh,
Ostend? Was it?
no, it's before that.
For Ostend?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, with another division, my division, 51st, and 39 Div, I think it was. In fact, one of the guys that was in that other division used to go to the Basildon Breakfast Club, you know, but he passed away. And from then on, we went up towards Calais. What I didn't know then was the fact that the 51st Highland Division, the 1st Division, was the one that stood the ground at Calais to let everybody get away. And they all got captured. And some of them managed to get away, you know. And so what Monty done, he took us out of the line so that they built a lovely memorial. What's the name of that place? It's just before you get into Calais, where they stood their last stand, you know. And they built a big memorial there. and he took us out of the line so we could go and pay our respects, which they did. And then afterwards we made about this time of the year, we was making our way into Holland, which was, don't get me on that, which a bridge was never too far. It was too far. It was a washout. It really was. We couldn't get any further. It was such a cock up, you believe me. The Paras, I stood there and watched what was the name of the Paras?
Oh, it was the Fusiliers, wasn't it? Was it the Fusiliers?
No, Paras. Oh, Christ. Anyway, I watched them coming out of the sky getting shot by you know. All these Germans were in this wood and they were just picking them up as they were coming down and landing. Because we couldn't move.
No.
There was one single road towards the bridge that they was trying to capture. And, well, you've probably seen the film.
Yeah.
And that is true. I mean, the Dutch, and we proved this afterwards, the Dutch people, their guys that were, had got all the information about this wooded area, but our intelligence turned it down, and that was the reason why it happened. Anyway, it was coming up for Christmas, and we were out of the line, and the funny side, we managed to capture a pig for our Christmas dinner. But a lot of the Dutch farmers had gone, and there was stray pigs there. And in my headquarters unit, it was my turn to do the porridge in the morning, you know. And our cook, he'd never cooked a bloody before. He didn't know you had to skin them and whatever. And in my hairdressing career, I'd learned how to shave, you know.
So you shaved
and I was shaving this bloody pig down, you know. And then all of a sudden, we had a guy come in, another dispatch rider, and we had to leave immediately. The division. The Germans had broke through in the Ardennes, armoured, and so I had to lead a convoy down towards Hamburg, towards Brussels and Louvain, and that's where we started off to go up to the where he'd broken through, where we joined the American 10th Army. We were attached to them, and I had this dispatch to take to the officer in the 10th Army. I pulled into where his office were, and I went in, and he was sitting behind with a big cigar, wasn't he? He said, "Have you had any chow?" What's he talking about? I never heard of it. "You mean breakfast, sir?" "Yeah, all right," he said. Anyway, called the guy. He said, take this guy to our cookhouse. And I tell you what, Steve, I mean, we've been living in this porridge and bully beef, and when I went in, I had hash browns, eggs, you name it, they're like, you know, and I had breakfast there. But that coming up towards the end of the war, we was right up in and like all children, they wanted to sit with us on the vehicle, you know.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I managed to get in touch with her when she'd grown up. She's about 80. She's still alive.
Yeah.
We got in contact with her, and my eldest daughter, Jack, she got in touch with her and she arranged for us to go over there.
Mm.
And it was the first time I'd been on Eurostar, you know.
Yeah.
We went. She was lived in Brussels, and my oldest daughter, she was in contact with the media, so she had a media guy come out.
Mm.
And of all the things, he wanted to take a picture of us.
Yeah.
The first thing on mine, it is, yeah. But I've been in touch with her ever since.
Yeah.
Anyway, when we arrived at the village, she took us back to the village where we were, and the mayor had put on a big thing for us, being as I had been there.
Mm.
And he said, there's not a lot of none alive. He said, but I've got a young lady here who wants to talk to you. So she came up and said, you're Don. My mum told me about you. And she brought out some pictures of those
She said, hello, Dad.
There was plenty of them
dear.
over there.
Anyway, Steve, that there,
Mm.
that's me on a captured BMW, German dispatch boat.
You looked a lot different, young.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't we all?
Yeah.
You and I look at pictures of me in that age, like in the army.
Yeah.
I look so different.
I know we do, don't we? Yeah, I built it up and down the motorway, the Autobahn as they called it.
So you did make it as far as Germany. You got as far as Germany.
Sorry?
You got as far as Germany then.
Oh, crikey, yeah. Yeah, we was at the Highland Division was one of the met up with the advancing Americans
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, you know. And then we moved when the war wasn't quite finished. We moved to a evacuated German barracks just this side of Hamburg, actually.
Yeah.
And that's where we stayed there. And I was lucky, I had to take a dispatch up to where when Montgomery was receiving the sort of give in from the Germans, you know. We had that, it was VE Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you spent VE Day
So
outside. You wasn't in the UK for VE Day. You wasn't back in the UK for VE Day.
No, I'd what we done, the village was called Verden on the river Aller, and they were absolutely starving.
Mm.
The villagers had no food. In fact, the first thing we had to do was put guards on, because they were getting in our stores,
Yeah.
nicking all our grub, you know. And we had to do guard duty there. But what happened, they more or less gave us the freedom of the town. There was a lot of shops and stuff. There was a little cafe that was open, so we got permission to make a club out of it, you know, which we did, called Duffy's Tavern. And because I've always, like, I've got a kit of drums from Duffy, and I had a guy with a accordion, and we had music, and we used to have a lot of guys come in the evening. And I had a bloke there. He was like Del Boy out of Boston, you know. He used to go to the nappy, and he'd come back with gear. Well, he came back once with a load of Guinnesses, in the old-fashioned Guinnesses, which was in bottles on it. And it was supposed to go out to the Far East, and he managed to get hold of it, brought it all back, and we all had a good whack. Yeah, it was quite. That's where I got demobbed from out there. We got demobbed in various times as we joined. You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when did you? What month, year did you get demobbed?
Sorry.
What month, year did you get demobbed? What
did I
month?
get-
What month did you get
Right,
demobbed?
discharged.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember now. I've no idea, Steve. Really, I've forgotten.
That's okay. Did you come across any concentration camps?
I went to Belsen. Yeah.
Was that near the beginning of it? Like,
What happened was, I could have got the picture out actually. Not my engineering unit, but one of the engineering units. I was helping escort through Belsen,
hmm
and this guy had one of our with a big plate on it. He was just digging them up and burying them in big horrible. And didn't stay there long, but I managed to get a bloke took us through the gas chambers where it stink.
I can imagine.
Terrible, it was terrible. No, I'll never forget that.
No, I bet. Well,
And of
that is-
course all the locals, some of them were committed to help bury you.
Yeah.
And they all said they didn't know anything about it, which is a lot of rubbish.
Mm.
No, they didn't. Yeah. Yeah, it was quite a lively 5 years I had.
Yeah.
Had a year on a year, 6 years altogether, really, because I was on reserve for a year to get. I could have gone to Korea. A lot of them went to Korea. you know,
Yes.
that came out. Yeah.
So what did you do when you got demobbed? What
Sorry?
when you got demobbed and you come back to UK? What did you do then?
Well, Steve, you couldn't get a job anywhere. You booked on at the Labour Exchange, right?
Yeah.
And they found work for you.
Mm.
And if you didn't go, you didn't get any. Pardon me, you didn't get any money.
Mm.
And so I directed me to Paul's at Dagenham. And I got an electrician wireman's ticket when I was in the engineers. So I went there and said to the guy when is there any chance of getting on the maintenance staff here?
Mm-hmm.
He said, we'll put up. He said, but you go on. He said, go on the assembly line for a little while. He said, we could have you back. Oh, no, that is a cruel thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I was at the very beginning and they were doing vans as well. So the engine would come out and I had to bolt it all up or whatever. And if you missed doing it, you had to go up the line and put it in, you know. And luckily, well, it wasn't luckily at the time, I got skin through the oil and stuff, you know. And that's the only way I got out of it, really. And then the town was ready to start, and I got a job, bricklayers, labourer, and you name it, I've done everything. Yeah.
Because you ended up on the lorries, didn't you? Driving lorries.
Pardon?
You ended up driving lorries.
I finished up. I was working for a greengrocer in London.
What, peaches?
No, it wasn't Peachy. Can't think of his name. And I used to take the governor there to Stratford Market I'd pick up a load of stuff, greengrocer, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd applied to work for Chariton's over this time of the year, driving lorries, you know, with fuel and stuff in it. but you only done that during the winter. In the summer you had it pushed off.
Mm.
Some of them got took on as regular. Anyway, I'm driving back to Stratford Market one morning, and a mate of mine who worked on Jarretons pulled his lorry in front of us and stopped and got out and in front of the governor of the he said, "You got your job regular." So I started regular. That was the last job I had, Jarretons, Arctics and stuff like that. Yeah. I've been about, Steve.
You have, mate. Definitely done that.
Sorry?
You've definitely been about,
Definitely.
and now you've found fame and fortune as giving talks to the children.
Yeah, I loved it going to the kids' schools, yeah.
With
So
that,
at Hadley, I've been at my daughter's school at Billericay. On my birthday, I had to go to Billericay. Where is it? Barnstable, isn't it?
No,
Joe's school,
Butsbury.
Batsbury. And we arrived there and it was slightly raining, and the headmistress had got all the kids, 500 of them, all out on the bloody thing, and they all saying happy birthday. Oh, I was choked. And they all went by giving me the old West Ham as they went back to.
how did you get the MID to go mention dispatches?
I've no idea. I've forgotten.
You're a bugger for that one. You won't tell anyone how you got that. I've been asking you that for as long as I've known you.
Well, the only thing that I can do, they never tell you why you got it, but the only thing that I can think of is I'm out in Normandy, and I'm taking this important dispatch to General Headquarters, and as I'm going across this type of field, there's a road on the left hand side. It was being shelled, you know. Dropped not far, blew me off the bike. Never got injured anything, and my bike just stopped, and I went flat on my face and crawled across a little tiny pathway where the farmer had built a concrete little shelter, you know.
Yeah.
And I managed to get into it, and when I got inside there was two officers that were sheltering for the same, and I thought, oh. And they just asked me about, I was careful what I was saying because you didn't know, they could have been
Exactly,
Germans,
yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
they? And I told them I was 51st and dispatch rider. Anyway, I think the only thing I can think of, they must have got onto our and told them they met me under this thing. Well, I don't know where it was. I managed to get back on the bike, and wasn't a very good day. I got to our, managed to get to our GHQ, and that was being shelled. And I've got the dispatch and I'm going forward, and a guy come up to meet me, and the bloody shrapnel or something dropped near him and nearly carved off his face off.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Anyway, next to it they got little small tents buried in the ground, and we managed to get him in there, and there was a couple of officers and stuff in there, and got a medic out to him on his head. But I was shaking like this, and on the table was a bottle of bloody hooch. I never got a job here.
Right, what I want you to do for me, mate, hang on, let's bring it right in. I want you to explain what each medal is, please, for me.
Well, as much as I can remember. That's a Legion of Honour.
Yeah.
French. These are D-Day, two D-Day medals on the bottom there. That's the 1939-45 medal for the war. That's the North African 8th Army. That's the Sicily Italian. Can't remember that one. And these are two that we've all got them. The standard government issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then because
And this one's that we had made for one of the years, you know.
yeah. Lovely, thanks, Dom.
All right.
Yeah. I just want to point out to the viewers that hang on if I get the camera in, that is the gold leaf for mentioning the dispatches.
Yeah.
Right, let's bring it back out so we can see Don again. Right, Don,
All right.
thank you so much. You really are a hero, in my eyes especially. And I've known you a long time. Anyway, thank you, Don. I'm going to finish that now. And
Thanks for watching my YouTube video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.